Hello everyone, it's been a while since I've made a video. I've been building on the Gundam for quite a while. I just haven't done anything to update it yet. Now, I'll show you where I'm at. I'm going to talk about what's going on. Everything's in disarray on my desk because I got rid of the cart I wanted to get rid of. And that stuff had to go somewhere, so I just stuck it on the desk. I'm still organizing things on the shelves on the wall over here, trying to get this room set up the way I want it. I have a little bit work to go, and I got to balance that with building playset and building Gundam. So let me move. I'll just pick him up. This is about 2 hours worth of work. That isn't that much work, okay? It's really not when you look at it and think about it. All right, it would have been much less work, except I'm trying to ensure I can take it apart again. So I have to trim pins, I have to drill holes, I have to do all sorts of things to make sure it comes back apart. Because the people who made this kit slip fit everything together so tightly, it's not meant to come back apart. And I want to take it back apart because I don't want to leave it like this. Okay? So, first things first, let's talk about construction. Okay? I haven't really run into any trouble spots. I mean, it took me 2 hours to put this together. A lot of the seams are pretty tied up on it. I'll show you that in a second, but there's going to be a lot of seam work on this thing. The happy thought is most of the seam work is going to be the squeeze method, where you squeeze it real tight and a little bead of plastic forms around the seam, and then you sand it flush. After that, I think Mr. Surfacer will take care of what's left of those seams because they're not real big and heavy. Okay? And some of the seams run in very nice spots, but not all. This is not your typical Gundam model where every single seam just vanishes as you put it together. Okay? That's not happening here. Alright? Now, let's talk articulation, because this is one of the things these Gundam kits are known for, and why some people stay away from them, because they think they're really complex. You can see that foot turns. Okay? The ankle shield moves up and down. The foot does rotate. Okay, so it turns and it rotates. The knee has a crazy bend to it. I mean, that bends just like a real knee would. About the same degree of motion too. No, not quite, because a real knee you can bend all the way back up. You can't do that on this. The leg joint here, he can kick. You can't go back though. This is as far back as he goes. Yeah, this skirt here blocks it from going back further, but I could put this guy sitting down if I really wanted to. Alright? Really could. Okay? I could have sworn that skirt moved more than that. No, it doesn't. But these flaps move. And you already saw the skirt here moves. And it's on this is on ball joints. These two are on ball joints. These are just on pin joints. And the torso actually rotates a bit. Lots and lots of articulation, but the articulation comes at a price. And I'm about to show you that price, so let me get my remote and zoom a little bit. I'm not going to zoom all the way in crazy on this thing. Okay? But enough that I can start showing you guys things. Alright, starting at the bottom. These are some of the worst seams in the kit, running right across the center of the ankle shields. I don't know if I should get rid of them, take a strip of styrene, put it across the top of it, what? And I'm thinking the strip of styrene across the top is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to get rid of them first, because I don't think it'll be that hard to get rid of them. The problem is painting, okay? Now, I can take the foot off, like this. The problem here is this part goes on last, and it's two pieces, and there's no way to put it together then put it on. It's going to have to go on here like this. There's going to be some masking and painting of this. I can still tear all this apart. This part here is obviously going to have to be painted before I do some assembly work here and painting here. I'm going to paint the shoe base too first, but you can see it all comes apart. Okay, so we can paint the shoe, paint the gray part in the center, then put the white parts on, fill the seams, then paint them. So that's the order that's going to have to go in. We get to the leg, bad seam running right down the back of this leg. You can see it. It's half hidden in the front because of the knee skirt. If you look along the edge of the knee skirts, those fit in there so well, you don't even think those are seams. But that part comes right off and you can see it, because I don't have it glued. Now the happy part here is, this is one solid unit. Okay? So I can go ahead and assemble this, work its seams, then paint it. That's not an issue. Alright, now, this part right here is 2 halves. The seam runs right along here. It's pretty hard to see that seam. Okay? I can't pull this out from these 2 parts. I have to take these 2 parts off this piece. Now this does come out like this. So I have this unit to work with. Now one of the things we need to talk about here is this. How this fits into this. This is a slip joint and it just slips in. Let's see, am I getting that the right way? No, backwards. Yeah, that slips in like this. Helps if I get it aligned right before I try to push it in this hole. Okay, now let's go ahead and take this knee brace off. Let me zoom back out a little bit, because I think we're in. Wow, that works. Let's do it this way. Can everyone see how tight those white pieces fit on the part that rotates? Every time I move that, that's going to scrape paint off. I mean, it's really, really tight. You can see it right there. There is no light shining through those joints. It's just not there. Okay? So it's a real tight fit there. This part rotates underneath these 2 knuckles. Okay? You can see the part rotating and the knuckles not rotating. So I'm going to have some fun with this. I'm going to have to sand these down a little bit because that's a real tight joint. Okay? Likewise, on the sides of these right in here, I'm going to have to do a little sanding because it's a real tight fit. And any painting I do in there is just going to be eaten up. I do mean eaten up. Alright? Ooh, close into my nose. Extreme close into my nose. From... the camera's actually about 3 feet away. Alright. So we've got that. The torso's not going to be too hard to paint. There's a ball and socket joint in here. And again, I can pull this whole thing apart up here real easily. And I'm not too worried about the torso. I don't like this color yellow. I'll be honest there. This V right here is going to be really hard to get out of there. But that's where I stand so far. I'm going to put everything back together real quick. Simply because I want to go ahead and put it together completely before I start sanding and start tearing it apart. I mean, before I start filling seams and painting. So I know exactly what's going on. Ooh, I put the leg on backwards. Easy enough to fix. There we go. Oh, and I forgot to show you, the legs actually rotate in the torso. Alright, I'm going to get going. I'm about 1/3 of the way through step count wise, but I've already built the gun, so I'm more than 1/3. I'm close to half. I'm going to finish building her and then get to work on painting. But one thing, once I've assembled, I've got another project I'm going to tackle before I paint the RX-78. Reason being is it's practice painting for painting the RX-78. When I get to that project, I'll show you. I'll be back in a little while. I'm working on the torso, the Mr. Gundam. I wanted to show you something. Now, on this part right here, there's a nice mesh detail. If I wanted to go all out on this kit, I would remove that and put some brass mesh there. I have the brass mesh. I've done stuff like that before. Not going to. One, the structural integrity of this part will fall apart some. If there was a photo etch part for it, I'd probably go for it, but I don't have the photo etch. Brass mesh is not strong enough to replace that part. Two, I can just dry brush some like brass paint over that, some enamel brass paint. I can't dry brush alclads. I have a perfect brass color in alclad, but I can't do that. And then that grading will show up. So that's the route I'm going to go on this. Just wanted to stop and show you that. On this side, you can see the yellow screen that goes over it. Now, if I was going to go out with lighting, I'd have an LED behind that with a brass mesh there, and that would do some good lighting. I'm not. The only light this kit's going to get is its eyes. I'm not lighting the rest of the kit up. I've already made that decision. It's too much work with articulation. I've seen Gundam kits that were fully lit, and I see the work that goes into it. I'm I got other projects to do, I'll be honest with you. Besides, the way I think I'm going to display this kit is in a static case, hangar scene with people crawling all over it. Doesn't need to be lit up more than its eyes. And if I do that, then the lighting will be easy, but I'm really thinking of doing it with batteries, and I have to come up with some sort of switch. So we'll discuss that when we get there. Just wanted to show you that part. Back later. Alright, Primitive Modeling Chris, you said you've never seen Casey on a video. Well, here she is. She's sleeping. This one is about 16, 17 years old. I've lost track. I can look it up, but just know she's really old. This is all she does all day long, is sleep. And then be mean to everyone. All the cats, everything. This is what she does. She's so old she can't move fast anymore, so other cats really don't get her too much. She was mean to Thunderpaws when he was a kitten. So she tries to be mean to him now. He just kind of shows her that he's almost 3 times her size. And he torments her a little bit, getting back at her for how mean she was to him with the kitten. So Chris, I think she'd be a good match for your Geiger. Okay? Her constant companion now is a giggle shark, but we're not going to talk about that. His batteries are dead. He doesn't giggle anymore. But anyhow, thought I'd let you see her. Hope you'd enjoyed.